and welcome to the Studio Demands It, where each week we take a property that simply had to be made, and we determine how to satisfy the studio's crazy-ass demands and make a better product than what we got. This is an exercise of creative thinking where we will challenge ourselves to conceptualize, pitch, and craft a property based on the stipulations of this hypothetical Hollywood overlord. I am TCG Witt, and join me, as always, is my esteemed fellow filmmaker, Jim Burrito Bruzelic. Jim, how you doing?
Good.
I'm so full
of my namesake.
Of your
burrito.
names. I ate a burrito. It was too big of a burrito.
Was it?
I kind of want a nap.
Wow. I could actually go for another.
Oh my God, it's the size of a football.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. I'm a two football kind of guy.
Two football. So where to begin? We have our ridiculous pile of studio properties. We also now have a listener request options at studiodemandsit.com where you can submit a demand. I can see it on our mobile for sure. I am not seeing it on the desktop yet, so I don't know what's going on there, but I'll talk to the people upstairs. You can send us any demand you like, as well as name your fictional studio. So last week we had a fantastic demand from a listener, and I'm very excited to see what you folks throw at us. Maybe they'll throw a burrito at us, Jim.
I would gladly make that. No matter. Well, actually, I can now imagine some studio demands on a burrito that would make it unappealing.
Well, no, you got.
Why would I do that?
Well, why would you do that? Because that's what we do here.
Yeah, it is what we do.
Have we reached a point of have we milked the board game cow? So we're done with like a Monopoly movie and.
Oh God, no.
Well, do you think after we've done that, we'll move on to like, how do we make a Ronald McDonald movie, or how do we? Is there
kind of surprised we haven't done it already?
Oh, well, I mean, we have The Founder, which is just about the foundation of McDonald's. But I'm talking
the
like
mascots, yeah,
like the Burger King,
yeah,
like a Civil War style movie, Burger King versus
Ronald. Do you know
Ronald
how close we probably whatever timeline we're in the one where it didn't happen, because Burger King, when they unleashed the King mascot, they made a series of video games that were.
Really?
Awesome.
Like mobile games?
No. The mobile games really weren't that big of a thing at the time. Closer. Okay.
I just want to be closer to you.
Understandable. I want to be closer to me as well.
But see,
and Burger King, they made games for Xbox, the first Xbox, not the three, the big
brick.
pre 360. They made 4 of them. You could buy them from Burger King. $5 each.
Oh.
They were great. Sneak King was my favorite one. It was a stealth game. You snuck around an area to get behind people, and then you'd pop out with a hamburger.
Yeah.
And give it to them. It was great.
I don't care how fun you make this sound and how enjoyable you think we are not going to get a sponsorship from Burger King. So just curb that enthusiasm right there.
I could describe the other games.
But wouldn't that be an adaptation of the games and not of the? I'm not
that's separate from making a Burger King movie.
I want the Hamburglar movie that we deserve.
Oh,
robble.
Wait, are you telling me this is the demand?
This is not the demand.
Okay.
Great feedback on cream of the crop, rise to the top, creme de la creme. I left laughing. I thought about that later in the night after we had finished recording and could not stop giggling to myself.
Although, now you put this new idea in my head, and as we tend to do here or think about often, our cinematic universes.
Oh, yeah, right? Like a Civil War
need
Ronald
to make one with all the different fast food
Look, I have
things. The thing is, I know of 2 different they're actually comic books that I've seen do things like that.
Like just
I've not
like
ever
dark
seen a
universe
movie.
not Universal Dark
Correct,
Universe,
yeah.
but like a dark gritty version of
I read a post-apocalyptic one where Ronald McDonald was like the Mad Max character, and actually my friend and I were sitting around. I forgot how we got on that topic. We actually came up with that title, Mad Max, MACS.
Oh yeah,
Beyond the Hunger Dome.
Bravo.
2 men enter, 1 man feeds.
Boo! It's so punny. I love it. That's fantastic. Okay, now it's gonna happen. You've achieved something the studio didn't know they wanted. And talk about the tie-in. Like McDonald's would pump $1 million into this, right?
Yeah.
The trick would be, how do you get all the properties? Like, how do you get that?
that
This
I-
is a
that I
Roger
don't know.
Rabbit scenario.
Yeah.
We got to have a lot of agreement. The king
Yeah.
needs to have this much screen time. Oh, come on. The king is only like 10 years old. Ronald McDonald's been around since Wilford Brimley's been doing them.
Well,
Not Wilford Brimley, Willard Scott. Don't at me.
oh gosh, no, so however you do it, all of these characters need to be protagonists.
So it's
Unfortunately.
not necessarily. If you
Well,
look
who's going to want their mascot to be the bad guy?
the king, that creep.
No, he's
Okay, look, I actually have a movie mascot, or sorry, a franchise.
Oh God, I know exactly how I would where I
Do
would
it.
use
Yeah,
the
go.
king.
Let's go.
The king would come in like somewhere in Act 2 when the heroes that we've so far gathered are captured somewhere by whomever our villain is,
Mhm.
the Hunger Lord. And so they have no way to get out, and suddenly the king
Just creeps
just
in.
kind of pops up from behind his and they look at, and like he, as the king does, has no lines. He just kind of shows up and he unlocks it, and he makes the quiet finger in front of his face, and then he sneaks them out. Not that the king always has to be sneaking, but that was actually a really fun part of that whole marketing campaign. And
He's a creeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
He surprises you with delightful treats.
This could be at the level of Wreck-It Ralph, of good, but
Yes.
live action.
Yes,
You're on this. The studio didn't know they wanted this, but now it must happen.
Yeah.
But I do have an idea for a food mascot movie, but it would be a biopic, like a
Sure,
something
yeah,
in
no,
the
I-
vein of like what was the not walk the line.
Uh,
the one where
Walk Hard.
no, God. I was thinking the Joseph Gordon-Levitt where he walked across the Twin Towers.
That one.
Oh man, I can't believe it. So something like that.
Man
like,
Unaware.
Man Unaware. No, that was the documentary it was based on.
Oh,
People are screaming at us right now. Or like the bank job with what's his name? Oh God, this is terrible radio right now. The transporter, freaking Jason Statham, where he.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, where it's like a cool heist movie, but not overly fantastical. It's like,
Well, it's because it was based on a real story.
right. So my pitch for a biopic of sorts is, do you know the story of the Noid?
So you'd want to make a movie about the actual story of the Noid,
Of the
not
actual
not
story?
like the fictional growing story of the Noid growing up or anything
Well,
like that.
here's my twist on it. Right, you could go straight drama because this is a dramatic story. Do you know what happened with the Noid? Okay, well,
What?
we'll get to.
No, yeah.
You could go the straight drama route, or you could go like the Son of Sam meets Happy route, where he sees the Noid, where the main character is annoyed by the Noid, right?
Uh-huh.
So the Noid was the Domino's pizza mascot. He's this
Yes.
little claymation man in a red rabbit suit, and he stole the pizza or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There was a guy
Well,
in real life.
he didn't steal the pizza. He made it soggy and gross. That's what
Right,
he
yeah,
did.
he was right. But there was a guy in real life named. It was just called The Walk. That was the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie. What a
Oh.
dumb title, Zemeckis. There was a guy named Noid, like that was his last name, and he was harassed by people because of the popularity of the Noid.
Oh wow.
He went into a Domino's with a gun
Oh.
and held the establishment hostage because he was so pissed off at Domino's that he wanted them to get rid of the mascot because of what it had done to him. So it'd be that. So this isn't the
Wow.
fun mascot movie you were pitching. I'm thinking more like
Yeah.
a dark, falling down,
Yeah.
crazy ass movie. Because that's one of those like truth is stranger than fiction kind of things.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking like, whatever happened to the Noid? And I looked it up and was like, oh, Yee.
Although the Noid would make a good villain.
In the
Yeah. Yeah.
In,
Well, because
Mad
the whole
Max.
point to that character is that he's ruining things.
Yeah, he's
So-
the bad guy. Can you get like the little seat? Let's not talk. Come on, we have other things to do here. However, you have delved into an area
Uh-oh.
that is similar to the studio demand for today.
Okay.
Now we have so far on this show done film.
Yes, we have.
The studio demand today is not film. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you bear with me. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
In fact, you already have ideas.
Do I?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Okay, so the way this works, so we are about to pitch a demand from a studio, and we are going to sit here and try to meet what we assume were the demands of said studio at the time and try to fix what we got. Okay?
Yes.
So the studio demands a more tied in Defenders Netflix universe, a Marvel Knights division, four series of the Netflix. So Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage,
Those specific
and Iron Fist.
Those 4 titles. Are we allowing Punisher? Are we allowing?
Yeah, Punisher can be in there. Now I'm giving you the original 4.
Okay.
We got
must do 4. Others are electives.
Exactly. Like if you want to see Bullseye in this, if you want to see Frank Castle sooner, if you want what have you, the studio is demanding we have a more connected television series universe to the MCU. The demand is that we satisfy what I've been asking for. This all comes up from Age of Ultron, 2015, when Sokovia is rising into the sky, and Black Widow's looking out over the. There's worse places. There's worse views, right?
Sure.
And then you hear Nick Fury say, "If you like the view now," and then he rises up with an old Shield helicarrier.
Yeah.
He says, "I dug up a few old friends," and we cut inside and we see Nick Fury and Maria Hill and a bunch of who the hell are these people? And that was a perfect opportunity for the freaking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be standing there. And we don't need Coulson. We don't need to confuse the plebes that aren't watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But we could have had Agent May. We could have had Fitz and Simmons. And secondly, in Spider-Man Homecoming, when freaking Damage Control shows up to take the Vulture's cleanup job away from him, that could have been the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too.
Yep.
All right, so there's missed opportunities. And I've complained to you before that frickin' Sam Rockwell should have been the bad guy in Ant-Man versus the Wasp and not Walter Goggins. Love Walter Goggins, but Sam Rockwell, Hammer should have been back.
Yeah.
I want a more connected universe because I like a lot of what Netflix did with the Defenders.
Sure.
I dislike a lot of what they did. Let's fix this because if it was more connected both ways, I feel like those Netflix shows would have been more successful and we would be getting more of them. Disney wouldn't have canceled them. They would have brought them over and said, "Oh, no, we got to continue this."
Sure.
So that is the studio demand today. Make a more, like a better collected universe of, we'll call it the Marvel Knights line.
Okay.
Because they're all the street heroes.
Yeah.
So I'll let your brain stew for a moment here.
Yep.
I think Daredevil works. There's very little about Daredevil I would change. That first season, I like it a lot. I think the second season is weak because they were delving into spinning off Punisher, and it got a little muddy in there.
So my first thought is I don't know. I don't remember the timeline of when it and if that's important to this exercise.
So Daredevil,
knowing when they came out in coordination with other movies.
Okay, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out in 2015, May 2015. And Daredevil came out April 2015. That's when the cinematic universe started. Sorry, the Netflix division of this universe started was in...
And right after Avengers 1.
Right after Avengers 1. So a couple of the sequel films. So if you want to look at Age of Ultron as your more or less your starting point for the Marvel Knights division, that gives you a reference of what movies you can play with.
Sure.
Okay, so if you want flashbacks involved in here, that's fine too. If you want to, like for example, if we're gonna play with Iron Fist as being another rich person in New York, we have the Roxxon Corporation.
I don't want to go too much into it, but I may end up using this episode as the pet episode to get, or I'm sorry, as the episode to get my pet changes in. For that, yeah,
more or less why I chose this as our demand for today because I know you have ideas. I don't. I have some. This was a mistake I made with Batman vs Superman. I'm never going to make it again. I've not thought about this demand other than the idea. I think that Daredevil that first season is amazing, and I really like the first season of Jessica Jones as well.
I agree.
Beyond that, everything starts falling apart for me. There's good. but there's a lot of bad. That
Yeah.
and I'm even talking season 2 of both those shows. Defenders as a whole, there's lots of mistakes made
Sure.
there. So let's just start with Daredevil.
Okay.
How do you feel about Daredevil as it is? What would you do differently to meet the demands? Can we sneak Daredevil into the movie somewhere?
Let's see here. I agree that first season of Daredevil is really, really good. I was very, very impressed by it. What could we sneak in more? Because that's the thing. That whole first season plays out like a Batman year one. Like, no, it's not a bottle episode, but it's contained unto itself.
Yeah.
Nothing about. I feel like nothing about what happens feels like it needs to be informed by more of the MCU. They make a couple references, right? Like they mentioned the Hammer and Iron Man at one point, or Tony Stark. I forget the exact reference they make, but they reference those two. They reference the event in their way.
And Fisk's whole property development thing is coming out of the wreckage of the first Avengers film, right? Like,
yeah.
The reason this gentrification and it's land. I know people are going to be like, freaking Lex Luthor, first Superman movie, blah. Like,
land. Honestly, we could. I'll bet we could make a giant list of movies and just stories in general about people and land ownership because it's a big deal.
Yeah. Save the rec center. But so it is very contained in Hell's Kitchen. I don't think that first season needs to have any sort of like huge connection to the MCU.
No.
I think that what makes the street level heroes work as the three that they selected that work at street level work. I think Luke being in Harlem really works. I think Jessica being a detective on the streets who doesn't want anything to do with the wider scope of being a superhero works. I think Daredevil being on the ground, punching the crap out of people, going up against specifically Kingpin works. I think that all the shadow and street level stuff really, really works.
Well, and Kingpin's dealings, him trying to go legit, or at least showing to go legit while having the underworld workings, also very much worked for that. And we didn't need too much elaboration there. I think, if anything, if there's any changes, you start dropping a few more names there that you can use later.
Yes.
Because I think what I would do in a season 2, you can incorporate Punisher, you can incorporate his whole sort of origin bad guy stuff that happens there as well. But I think by time you get to season 2, I know I need to backtrack a little here, but with Daredevil season 2, I think by that point, one of the things that needs to happen is you diversify the street level criminal element a lot more. And it's Marvel, but it's also Marvel Knights. It's the MCU. It's a little more realistic, but you make them comic book gangs, right? You don't have to go full on the Warriors where they're baseball players in face paint, but you start kind of playing that up. You create. So one of the things I'd love to see more of, I'm sure they do more in the comics and I'm just not aware of it, but is how and where Hydra recruits.
Yes.
So you create this street level criminal element that's like, you see a few Hydra recruiters, you see other criminal organizations recruiting from this base of street gangs and stuff. And so you can establish your ninjas as is needed for Daredevil and Iron Fist, but you also establish other criminal organizations. You started to in the first Daredevil, but then the Russians were very quickly swept away.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Having these more divided areas to play in, because you could have hints of the 7 rings. Or the 10 rings, right? You could have hints of the Mandarin, right? In fact, the end result of the Defenders going up against Sigourney Weaver as, who was she? Why couldn't it have been the 10 rings? Why couldn't that be the way we get the Mandarin back into the mix of things? Right? Like,
I have my pet theory on how I would want that to happen, but that's actually a pretty decent secondary way to do it, I'd be okay with that.
To have the ninjas, to have the gun criminals, like I know I'm kind of like gun criminals,
but
knife criminals.
So the other thing that I think is important with the MCU that like a couple of the shorts touched on, the other reason I'd want to lay the groundwork for a lot of these criminal organizations is because we get to see just a sample of it again by the time we get to Spider-Man: Homecoming. If you lay the groundwork, that way the Vulture. Selling off wares from
the
things.
Chitauri, yeah.
Because I think a lot of that technology would be proliferated among these criminals that we're laying the groundwork for, and that lets us do a lot more references. Like I forget where, but I know like I think it was Homecoming where they took a bunch of secondary dudes and made them Vulture's henchmen.
Yeah, we have Shocker and like Prowler's in there with the Donald Glover reference.
Wasn't Stiltman even in there?
Stiltman is the guy who made Daredevil's costume in the first season of Daredevil. Okay. Yeah, so
he was also Stiltman.
Yeah,
I forgot that Stiltman was also the guy who made things.
Yeah, but yes, they're the Vulture's cronies are kind of third tier.
Yeah,
like Shocker is passed on between the first guy and the second guy.
Sure, yeah.
The gloves and the guy who does his tech. I know he's someone as well. So yeah, I like having the criminal and
not necessarily those guys, but just more
references to that for sure. If we're looking specifically at Daredevil being a Fisk, the wannabe gangster, and he's not a wannabe, he's a very successful gangster, but Fisk is one of the best villains in the MCU. I'm talking movies and shows. I think
he's gotten enough amazing stories.
Yeah, he's up there with Loki. I think Kilgrave, the Purple Man from Jessica Jones, is one of the best villains in the MCU as well. But Fisk being this wannabe, having a passing glance at him of Tony Stark in Iron Man 3, like just a reference to like, oh, you got Rand Industries and that Fisk fella down in Harlem. I'm not worried about him. Even something like that, just a little more name dropping references, offhanded remarks that to the everyday moviegoer might just a name of somebody, but that you draw that breath through your teeth moment when you see it in a movie, like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was cool. That was a reference to Fisk, or seeing Rand Industries, because Roxxon is they use in Shield a lot, and we've seen the Roxxon logo in the films as well.
Yeah,
and that's another one of those rando rich fella competitors of Tony Stark kind of situation. We'll get to Iron Fist. I don't. Daredevil, I think, is our entry point because it was the entry point into the Marvel Knights universe. I think references in the conversations to what Fisk is trying to do. I love your idea of bringing in more of those lower tier bad guys, but Hydra and the Mandarin as well. I think there's a way to play with those other groups. Mandarin had the Extremis folks.
Yep.
Now, what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. does nicely is they will have those, like they'll have a Lady Sif episode, or they'll have the cleanup of London after Thor: The Dark World moment, which actually was the same episode. Sorry, but those nice tie-ins, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is directly affected by the movies in many of its seasons.
You could honestly say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was sort of built and meant to maintain hype between movies.
Sure, yeah.
Which I thought it was a good story unto itself, and I actually thought did a really good job of keeping me excited and plugged into the Marvel Universe.
I agree, and anyone who gave up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., go back, because that show just kept getting better every season.
Apparently, the newest season has started as of this recording, and I'm excited to watch it.
See, so that's exciting, and I love the tie-ins to them. So what the CW Arrowverse does really well is they share universe. They share characters. They play in the sandbox. So if a character on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like Hunter and Mockingbird, they went up. Why couldn't they have shown up for an episode in Jessica Jones, or why couldn't they have shown up for an episode in Daredevil? Like, Damage Control is what they were going to be.
Well, I think so to play the opposite point,
of course.
that's kind of like saying, why doesn't Berlanti have any of the Arrowverse things? Why didn't any of that show up in Gotham?
Okay, well, okay, so we're dealing with
Now
with
that's a little
fighting
different.
studios.
Those are they're different studios, and they're explicitly different universes. Whereas the Marvel stuff, the nod, the reference is made, so it's, hey, this is the same universe, so why don't we play along a little better?
That's what I'm demanding.
Yeah, and okay, so how do we do that? Because the thing is, the even the way it's shot, Daredevil, just the Marvel Knights shows are just shot totally different than Agents of Shield,
And that's fine.
so if you have any of these characters show up on Agents of Shield, I feel like it's gonna
Well,
be a little awkward. Or if you go the other way, suddenly Sky looks super gritty.
well, I don't necessarily think it needs to be the main characters, but I will say this: Ghost Rider worked wonderfully as a supernatural element on Agents of Shield. It introduced supernatural elements before Doctor Strange into the MCU, and I think someone like Ghost Rider. Here's how I would do this in terms of like the big tie-in episode. Every season of the Marvel Knights on Netflix always felt like one episode or two episode too many. And we've talked about this with Luke Cage. Luke Cage feels like it's missing an episode smack dab in the middle of the series. I would do an event episode in the middle of each season that would be your tie into something else episode. So it would be like the midway point, you kind of tie up your first half of your story, and then you get that break before you launch into the climax of the season. In the middle there, you would have Ghost Rider show up, or you would have Hunter and Mockingbird show, or you find I don't. We haven't even talked about getting them into the movies. We're still playing with the TV.
Yeah.
So let's look at Luke Cage real quick. To have his midpoint episode was kind of his backstory, right? Where he broke out of the prison, he got his powers, he got to wear the classic suit.
They brought in the family element. And
I would have
his family.
I would much rather have seen Hydra being who was doing the experimenting, or having him have to bust out of wherever he is and get a look at the Abomination, or have him be on some offshoot of the Raft and get a look at some, like Abomination's the only one I can think of who's survived, or make him be in the prison with Justin Hammer. Right. And the Mandarin, and I'm not asking for them to steal the spotlight, because this is the fine line to walk of how much pandering are you like, get it. I don't want that. But I want a more connected universe, so that if you're paying attention to the whole spectrum of what the MCU is offering, it's more fulfilling, but not so distracting to people who aren't. And that's what the Arrowverse does really well.
Okay.
I didn't think to draw from them immediately, but Berlanti, what he's doing with the Arrowverse is so nice, because if you watch them all, you get everything.
Yeah.
If you only watch one show, occasionally you're gonna have a moment of being lost, like, who's this character? Whatever, it's still good, right? So like Daredevil being our access point, let's look at Jessica, because Jessica, again, that first season is great.
Oh, it really is, and it actually starts laying foundations to build out further. That they just cut dead in the second one.
Yeah.
Which, frankly, Marvel, that's kind of something all of the film stuff has done, right? Like the Marvel movies cut villains dead. They don't do continuing.
Yeah, we could have got more Ultron. We could have
gotten it. Like, so many villains could have kept.
I think they're getting better at that, because Vulture didn't get killed. Spoiler.
Sure.
They're planning on a Sinister Six movie.
I mean, technically a bunch, right? Justin Hammer didn't get killed. Spoiler. We could go through them all. We could spoil all of them.
No, it's fine.
But I actually thought season 1 of Jessica Jones was great the way it is.
Yep, but once again, much like Daredevil, like tiny tweaks to connect it to the bigger picture.
Sure.
I think Jessica as well. Little conversations. Patsy Walker has her show, right? That she could have sound bites talking about the bigger picture of the MCU. we got the Hulk out there. We got Tony Stark flying around in his suit. What do we think here in this part of Manhattan? Like even just little lines like that, a little more, because the Netflix shows did have offhanded comments from here, like every now and then sprinkled in, but those references in terms of like, hey, here's a Hulk reference. They could make the exact same joke on The Flash, and it wouldn't be any different. It's just, oh, it's a pop culture reference. It's not a universe connect reference. The incident of the first Avengers is referenced a lot in Daredevil. That's it, right? Like there's one in particular, and we'll get to it after our break, because I just want to look at Daredevil and Jessica right now. And we also have Frank Castle being brought in. I enjoyed what they did with Punisher quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd connect him more. I guess using him on the fodder of the work we laid down with Daredevil 1 by introducing more of a criminal element, more of a basically just something to justify not just dudes with pistols and switchblades, like dudes with laser pistols and sonic blades.
I think
vibro blades, that is what they would be called.
I think Frank's your access point to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because I don't think Frank is a huge leap to go into an episode of a 2-part episode in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they're investigating some meta and they come across this crazy man with freaking guns blowing the doors off the place. You get a split off the team, and you have Mac, who is like the heart and soul of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., having to work side by side with crazy ass Frank Castle. That's a team up I want to see. And that's not like sticking Daredevil next to Agent Coulson, right? I think Frank Castle works as a great connector to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whereas like
maybe
seeing Skye and Jessica Jones throw some punches at each other isn't crazy either. or seeing Daredevil and Agent May, right?
Not bad. I could. Something could be worked out there.
Yeah.
I don't yet know what those episodes would be about.
Right, but it's the gimmick, and now build around it. The studio doesn't care, Jim.
Just say it'll happen.
Just say it'll happen. Sure, we'll figure it out.
I kind of want to figure it out now.
Well, here's the thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had the Terrigen Mist that activated basically the mutants in the universe, right?
Sure.
Jessica being experimented on. Why that's it. She was
make her an Inhuman,
or some sort of experimentation on the Terrigen Mist that gave her abilities. Because the whole idea behind the experiments on her were to unlock her potential, right?
Well,
and
it would have had to be something like that.
And the experimentations they did on Jessica and what was Patsy's boyfriend in the end of season 1 into season 2,
that was Nuke.
Okay,
right? Wasn't that his?
But
his character name?
I could Google it. There's no way to find out. But why wasn't that experimentation the same as Luke's experimentation? Their powers are really similar, right?
Well, because in the comics, her Patsy's boyfriend, the one who goes nuts on the stuff, right? Mm-hmm. His stuff was a
Griffin
offshoot of that doesn't sound right. You're looking at it, so it must be right. Of Captain America's super soldier serum.
Sorry, Griffin was her boyfriend in season 2. Continue. Yes, superhero serum is what created Nuke.
Yeah. So there you go. Actually, give that a little more story. Just a little more story, and you can, because that was the whole dang plot to First Avenger between Captain America and Red Skull, right? They were both variations of this super soldier serum. And one thing the Ultimate Universe did of the comics, which honestly a lot of the MCU is based on. There were tons of stories that were about different governments trying to create their own super soldiers. In the comics, just in nerd offshooting here, Wolverine, Weapon X, was
that's right.
Was an experiment to make a super soldier.
Will Simpson, aka
Simpson.
Yeah,
yes. you could incorporate more super soldier plots.
Yes,
In
absolutely.
these things.
Oh, dude.
That actually makes so we don't need the Terrigen thing at all.
No, we can go off the super serum. And couldn't Jigsaw be a division of Hydra? Like Jigsaw from Frank Cat. So
Yeah.
I'm delving into Punisher here. Because he
could be a bunch of different things. He could be. I'm sure there's 2 or 3 organizations that I'm just not thinking of right now
that he could play in. Okay, continue. Sorry.
No. That's mostly where I'm at. I kind of like the idea of following this super soldier thing outward. You make Jessica's. You make them branch. I don't want to tie everything into Hydra, but it's really convenient.
It's
because they get their tendrils and everything.
All 6 of them.
But I like the idea that Jessica's experimentation and then the doctor at the prison with Luke Cage, they're different. They're completely different organizations that when they trace back, when you investigate them deep enough, they come back to the same root. It's the same group saying, we're going to put this out to a dozen different groups. Each of you experiment in your own way and come back with what you find.
And yes, and if it's a Hydra situation, right? And that's with Jessica and Luke.
Oh no, because this is Marvel Knights, and it doesn't have to be Hydra, and it can come back to the ninjas.
No, I was going to take it back to the ninjas, but go ahead.
The whole reason the ninjas would the hand, right?
Yep.
The whole reason the hand would be doing this, the whole reason that they'd be wanting super soldiers, is because they can't get past the Iron Fist. So they're looking for anything they can. And if they can develop a super soldier serum, they can then put it in their own trained people. So now you have a super ninja to take on. I have other theories about how I think the hand should work, but this works. This works as well. And in that way it can tie back in all of our Marvel Knights and our final Defenders thing. That's another way this can all tie together, rather than just big hole in the ground.
Well,
which I forget what that was for.
Because the bones of a dragon were down there and making
mortality,
right.
And
no.
Actually, I don't mind that.
Just show me the dragon. Just borrow one of the freaking Game of Thrones dragons. Hey, can we borrow that? Look, I love your idea here of connecting the super serum. Let's use Luke and Jessica to play in that realm. Right?
Okay.
That they have a division of Hydra that created these 2 different, right? And the hand dealing with Daredevil, and in the hand wanting to have super ninjas to go up against the Iron Fist. I like that. What do you think of this? I'm going to throw it out there. If we have this Hydra wing, which Jessica and Luke leading them to a point, and you have Daredevil following the hand, which then leads to the Mandarin, and then the Mandarin and the Hydra basically decide, hey, we have the same goals here. So then for the Defenders, you have all these characters following different trails of evil that all lead to the same thing.
Yeah, I think I don't. You might have worded it a little different than I'm thinking, or maybe you worded it the same way.
Go ahead.
But no, I like that. Hydra and the hand, and the getting closer, and the Mandarin is just an entirely third party that.
Okay. Yes.
They're all working. They're all 3 are working together. The Mandarin has made deals with Hydra and the hand, and is working towards whatever his end would be.
Yeah, and
which is to summon Fin Fang Foom,
who's a dragon.
Yeah.
What the hell? All right, I want to take a quick break here because I want to throw a Luke Cage change in here that I think would fix things.
Okay, I also have a thing with Luke Cage I would like to.
Okay, let's take a quick break here, and here's from 6'5 Media, our wonderful overlords. Okay, we'll be right back.
Hi there, I'm David.
And I'm Kate.
And we're the hosts of another Zelda podcast.
There are so many good podcasts out there, and
Some of them in particular concern The Legend of Zelda.
That's right, Kate. And we are another one of them. That is actually the name of our show, Another
Yes.
Zelda Podcast.
And in our show in particular, we talk about some of our favorite dungeons, characters, boss battles. We have top 10 lists.
Yeah, we do deep dives on game design and production aspects of the different Zelda games.
And we talk about our own experiences. We do some review episodes, talk about our challenges, our struggles, and our victories.
That's right. Really just almost anything that has to do with Zelda, we like to talk about it. A new episode comes out every other Friday, and you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube.
And you can also check out our episodes on our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com.
That's right. All right, we will see you there.
Okay, bye.
Okay, we're back. Okay, so we got any little tweaks we made to Jessica and Daredevil. I think those changes more come into play season 2. I think season 1 of Daredevil, and I really, really like those first seasons of those two shows.
Jessica, I enjoyed season 2, but I was sad that they kept, like, I understand it. They were going for which is a detective show where every lead like ends up dead kind of thing, and that's what they were doing there. But it really kind of bummed me out that they took these really interesting characters and just gacked them.
Yeah,
like the speed guy who can go fast when no one's looking. That's great. How he would have been so much fun, and he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
It would have been so much fun to have show up later, or just again, don't kill him off.
Especially dealing now where you have the Hand and the Mandarin and Hydra. Like, give me the board of red yarn in the room.
Like, and how great would that be to give Jessica someone who like sees all these connections even more than she does, but is way crazier. So he's this nut that she has to basically have in her side pocket, right? Like,
I have to deal with this guy.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great.
Hey, he could have memorabilia from the previous movies, and he doesn't have to like make. I don't want a frickin' the Mummy situation where you walk through a room and like, look at that. But just having a shelf.
No, I want to have a scene where a character does explicitly that. They point at the thing, go, look at that.
Well, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Crazy Speed Guy who'd be like, oh, did you see this gauntlet from Iron Man over here? Oh, and this is a piece of vibranium. Oh, and this is over here. Listen, I don't care about all this.
Actually, the way he would do it is he would be pointing out serial numbers and how they all connect back together, and they all come from this place over here. And
This is Zola. This is Zola. You know Zola? He's from Hydra. Okay, there's an opportunity here. We're missing. They made a big mistake in Civil War and Luke Cage. They cast the same woman to play two different characters. When if they had made her the same character, think of the implications in Luke Cage. I believe it's Alfre Woodard who played what's her name in Luke Cage.
Black Mariah.
Yes. Okay. So
never call me that.
Alfre Woodard played Black Mariah in Luke Cage, and she was in a Wilson Fisk capacity, just trying to take over Harlem. Right. She also played the mother of a deceased Greenpeace person, Sokovia, who died in Sokovia because of. She's at the elevator with Iron Man. She pulls out the photo. He thinks she's going to grab a gun, and she says, "You killed my son. How do you feel about that, Mr. Stark?" Make that the same woman. Like Black Mariah could have been motivated to take over her city, to be the queen pin she wanted to be, because she wanted to. I'm going to carve out a section of this city, and I'm going to build an empire that is anti.
Yeah, and I'm going to show all the Starks.
Yeah,
that you can do things without
power.
Your weapons.
Yeah, like that was a huge missed opportunity, and they can't. Like when she showed up in Civil War, or I can't remember which happened first, but I thought like, oh, that's awesome, and then it wasn't. She's just a different woman. That is such a missed opportunity, and I say make her the same woman. Make her Black Mariah in Civil War.
Sure.
We don't even need to hear her name. She doesn't have to change any of her dialogue. But that Civil War connection informs all of her motivations in Luke Cage. And why she would have such an axe to grind against someone with superpowers like Luke Cage. And there is so much of Luke Cage that I love. I love that it's set in Harlem. It's got the best soundtrack of the 4 or the 5 series of the Marvel Knights Wing. I love the black pride that it has. It's a fantastic show for those elements. But it's I mean, once you got rid of
Copperhead.
Mahershala Ali,
Mm-hmm.
who gives a crap about Diamondback? Like that's how you start connecting to the big Defenders push. If you want to get rid of Cottonmouth, which is a shame because Ali's an amazing actor and he's the best part of that series outside of Mike Coulter playing Luke Cage himself.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect casting, by the way, for Luke, Jessica, and Daredevil. I think those three are perfectly cast. You're disagreeing with me on Daredevil?
No, I'm not.
We'll talk about Danny Rand in a moment. Because actually, let's talk about Danny right now. Danny, I think, could have been introduced.
We touched on Luke Cage. What would I have done different? I wouldn't have killed Copperhead.
Mm-hmm.
The thing,
Cottonmouth.
Cottonmouth.
Yep.
Copperhead was Cottonmouth. The thing, and this may be a pet story that no one else really cares about, but I really like that the Serpent Society became Serpent Solutions in the comics.
They're another.
They basically tried to kind of pseudo go legit or have a cover thing, and I think that would have been amazing to see. Don't kill Cotton. If you need to take him out, don't kill him. Just remove him temporarily, like have him go away and bring him back in season 2, where he's not running the club anymore. Now he's running this company, and so now he's stepped the game up. And then you can introduce more things with that, and that by its nature is automatically tied to Hydra as well.
There you go. And you get to keep him around for season 2. And I do think Alfred Woodard could. What essentially happened in Luke Cage is we had Diamondback become the big bad for the second half of the season.
And the thing is, looking in hindsight at it, I think the idea, and it didn't work for me, it may have worked for other people, but it went a little too over the top. Like, I think they were trying to do almost like a 70s blaxploitation feel with these over the top kind of characters. And
certainly,
I felt like that took away, at least with Diamondback, took away from it. If anything, they needed to show, I would have preferred if there had been something like some sort of chemical, not just a suit, that was showing him go crazy, because he was this mastermind who crafted a plot way more convoluted than than any plot. Like, I've tortured you for 30 years, all so that I could eventually punch you. It didn't make sense to me, and it culminated in a street fight that just didn't feel earned.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. This could get the Terrigen Mist connection.
Sure.
If he could have been experimenting with that to give himself unlock abilities, and he's just not built for it, and that's what drove. It's not a super serum like a super soldier serum. It's a completely different sort of chemical imbalance that he's created.
Sure.
Because then you could have Shield clean up in the end. Having Shield show up and be like, "We'll take it from here." Well, who are you? Don't worry about it.
Rather than having to then explain all the Terrigen stuff, well, you do that. So you don't say it's you may drop the word at some point, but that's at most as you'd get. I still think it. You bring in the suit, but the suit filters it in a way that makes him be able to use it. So he doesn't have to have the Inhuman gene that changes, but he's also not going to turn to dust, like what happens. So instead, the suit modifies him somehow.
Okay, yeah.
And so then at the end, when he is picked up, it's not just, the cops took him away. It's the men in blue, which not men in black, men in the Shield.
He's Shield blue. Yeah.
They showed up and they confiscated it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I think we could stem off of that, if bring Cottonmouth back for season 2, if Black Mariah is still because what they did with her in season 2 still worked, and I like it's a. I don't remember. I should just keep up the damn cast list so I don't have to keep looking. I would have Luke versus her like they had, because they have Shades played by Theo Rossi from Sons of Anarchy as her kind of puppet master. Like, he's keeping her placated. But having her losing it while Cottonmouth comes back to take over Harlem, and he has recruited tons of supers that are all Terrigen mist and whatnot have you. Like,
Sure. Well,
you-
it doesn't even matter. That guy's got glowy
Yeah,
fists.
like-
look at this guy. He breathes smoke. That guy over there is got blurry feet.
Yeah,
What's that mean?
I hate
Oh,
blurry
he's
feet guy.
super fast
I
guy.
can't stop looking at his blurry feet. But having
uh,
him come back to be like the second half of the season antagonist against Luke and Black Mariah, and he's shown up with a ton of superheroes because there's
Sure,
a
right?
great,
Because he's a weapons dealer, and
Yeah.
what's higher tech weaponry nowadays than superpowers?
than superpowered people, and you could get some callbacks to some lesser tier. You could have someone with extremists. You could have one of the throwaway villains from Agents of Shield.
Mhm.
There's not a lot to draw from the films because they always kill everyone
Yeah.
off. But I think that would be great to have him come back in and now here's the thing is that the season 2s we're talking about here take place post Defenders, and we haven't even touched on that yet.
Oh, do they all take place?
Well,
Oh,
we can
dang it.
futz with it. We can futz with this. I think that we can. I think if the studio
Daredevil 2 didn't,
no, Daredevil 2, it was.
but all the rest did.
yeah, and that's fine, and we can futz with our timeline if the studio's happy with how these shows are working. Iron Fist.
Iron Fist.
I'm going to say this. While you gather your thoughts, I'm going to say
Yeah.
this because you and I see things differently.
Yep.
If anyone would like to see what my opinion is on Iron Fist specifically, I'm going to do a plug for my old YouTube series, The 1 Minute Rewatch. You can find it at The Bit Life Show, so youtube.com/TheBitLife. You can look at The 1 Minute Rewatch. I did a whole series of them, but in particular, I did one on Iron Fist where I reviewed an Iron Fist from an alternate dimension. So a better show than what we got, which had things like Colleen Wynn's grandfather who trained her is Stick. Something as simple as that would fix so much of what's bad about that show. I also recast Danny Rand to honor the Asian American community. And this is where Jim and I disagree, which is fine. Please don't at Jim. He has reasonings for why he's wrong.
Go ahead.
So if you want to see my full opinion on Iron Fist, I'm just going to do a plug for my old show there. Now, how do we fix Iron Fist? This is the worst show. When I saw the preview for Iron Fist, it's the first episode of Arrow in 3 minutes. The
Yeah.
preview for Iron Fist season 1 is the first episode of Arrow.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, people? You could have done literally anything else here. I think Iron Fist could be introduced in Luke Cage season 1. Have
Yeah.
a Heroes for Hire moment. Like this dude show up with a glowing fist who helps. Who the hell are you? I'm Danny Rand, and then he says it 1,000 times, or not. It's like how would you fix Iron Fist? Because I think people were pretty forgiving of the fallacies in Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. There weren't many, but people were forgiving of them. And then Iron Fist came out and set the bar so low for the Netflix wing that it ruined everything. All the good faith was gone because of season 1 of Iron Fist.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Iron Fist, please tweet me. I need to know this.
So
the show in particular, not the comic. Continue, please.
now they
Show
they
the
were-
dragon. All right.
They were trying to specifically draw from the original material. They weren't trying to use other things, but
There's
so
no Ultimate Iron Fist. That's the problem.
yeah. Well, in my opinion, my favorite Iron Fist story would have been a great way to go about it, and that's Matt Fraction's run, where
Just like the Hawkeye Matt Fraction's the best Hawkeye.
yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's Matt Fraction. I hope I'm not doing a disservice to an author. But the reason I feel that way is because it does feel problematic that Danny Rand, the greatest martial artist ever, is a white guy.
And he can get beat up by a blind guy.
Yeah.
Is it the
Well,
Immortal Iron Fist? Sorry, I just
It's-
want to.
yeah. That actually, yeah. That
Okay.
that run
So
is called the Immortal Iron Fist.
It's Dwayne Schuster.
Oh, I'm a super bad fan.
That's it. He's as good as Matt Fraction. That's
Yes.
a compliment.
But what they establish in that story is that the Immortal Iron Fist is not one. Well, actually, I guess
you know what? I apologize. It is Matt Fraction.
Oh, it is.
Yep. It was Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
They actually, I think I'm kind of retreading even what the show does mention is that the Iron Fist is a mantle that gets passed down.
Correct. And Danny earned it by beating a dragon we never saw. I'm very upset about not seeing the dragon. It would have just a shot of it. Show the dragon. We're seeing
You know what?
Fing
Yeah.
Fang Foom, goddammit.
Honestly, it would. I know how I'd shoot it. It would end up being you put it in a dream. he wakes like you get a shot of the silhouette of Danny, and then like you do a weird focus thing where the focus shifts from his silhouette to the this large dragon coming at him, and it's glowing like the whole thing's made of fire, and like as it descends on him, Danny wakes up.
I'm awake.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, we saw a dragon. Oh
Thank
shit!
God.
What was that about?
We're gonna really see the dragon in the Defenders movie.
Yeah. So I think they played into it a little bit, but I think they needed to play up the element of some people feel that Danny doesn't deserve to have it.
True.
You have him be the
Well,
you put it, you wear it on your sleeve that this guy, this dude probably shouldn't have these powers. What could have happened that got this guy these crazy powers?
He could have cheated. Like, if we want to, like, I think your I think you should lampshade him being white.
It's interesting because now you're actually going in a direction I hadn't considered. I've thought about this now for so long, and now a lot of it's making sense. But the thing is, now we need to know how and why he cheated. I don't know that yet, but that actually explains why he's not good at fighting and why he loses.
Well, where you were going there, I think, was that you think he should be white to play up the fact that he literally doesn't deserve to be the Iron Fist, to play into the audience's problems with Danny being cast as a Caucasian, which I get. I 100%. There's not enough representation. When Iron Fist failed, I was like, dear Lord, please do Shang-Chi to make up for this, because you guys dropped the ball on this thing. And thankfully, we are getting Shang-Chi Master of Kung Fu as one of the Marvel Phase 4 films.
All right.
But I think lampshade, like actually addressing Foley, what are you doing as Iron Fist? You don't deserve it. You're not... you don't have.
See, that's the thing. Like, thinking back, they did try doing that, but
not
it
enough.
just not at all.
It was too much too much office stuff too.
Well,
I don't need to see people in a sky-rise business talking about acquisitions when there's a guy with a glowing fist beating up ninjas on the street. More of that first season has to do with the ward and like, come on. Let's deal with the hand. Let's have, because we have Claire Temple, who connects all these shows in the. And I like who's that? That's Rosario Dawson. I think she's great, and I love the night nurse being this connector through the series. There's also one of the thugs, the gun dealer that Daredevil everybody beats up. I can't remember his name, but he's he's like, man, I love him that he's a connector too that people don't think about. But Danny going up against the hand and crossing paths with at the point out of the game Daredevil is where he connecting him to Foggy, connecting him to Hogarth from Jessica. There's by the time we get to Iron Fist, which is the 4th series, let's set up the last pieces for what the Defenders need to be, and really this should be the one, like, if you've made it this far, you're gonna be okay with us doing heavy references to everything.
The other problem that I think happened with Iron Fist was, I think they didn't know what role he was going to play on that team of 4. It was like, oh, he's going to do what Daredevil does, but his hand is going to glow,
and not as well.
and that's not how I would have done that show. To Iron Fist, he's supposed to be a living weapon. So even if you want to say he's not good at it, he should still be amazing comparatively.
Yeah,
right.
Cottonmouth would love to have him on his team.
No, he should be even better than that. So the way you differentiate his martial arts fighting from Daredevil's martial arts fighting is Daredevil's was definitely way more gritty and
boxing.
And it was like it hurt, right? Like, you watched it and you felt all those hits and you got tired with Daredevil. With Iron Fist, I think the way to do that is it's Bruce Lee. Just make it Bruce Lee. Just copy Bruce Lee, right?
And you were doing it when you created the character.
Yeah, and like Like, have him taking out henchmen like it's nothing.
I love it, and having him be clean and very
Yeah.
handsome and smooth. Whereas like Daredevil's bleeding, and Luke's got it ripping his shirt full of bullet holes off, and Jessica's drunk, and there's Danny who's just
Danny
calm, cool, and
He
collected.
was just too whiny.
Iron Fist.
Also copy Bruce Lee in that way when he's fighting, just pure confidence. Just
Oh yeah, dude,
just-
just think of Daredevil like getting there and like you feeling those blows, and just Danny basically dancing around in the background, wiping
Yeah.
guys out. That's a great juxtaposition between those two.
and then what you do, because he's not going to be this super confident guy. He's not outside of combat. That's where he falls apart. That's where he's like, but I learned how to walk across bamboo and the
Shoots up
ocean
my
water.
nails.
Yeah. So when he has to go confront his family, that's where he becomes super awkward.
Yeah, yeah, like no people skills.
But not like how it was done. Not like he becomes kind of whiny. Don't like have him be simple, like confused. He's always confused and just like,
this might be a
what? I don't. Why is this so hard? You're my family. Why?
two things I think would help.
I'm just stuttering at this point.
Well,
but-
one thing, I don't think Finn Jones is a capable enough actor. We're talking about how perfectly cast the other three are. I think he's miscast. I just don't think he's strong enough, because when he comes back to New York and he's walking around barefoot, he is simple. But Finn Jones did not portray that. Maybe it was the script, maybe it was his acting ability.
I heard there was some scheduling stuff, like he was cast and then there were like very little training, and then it was just let's shoot.
Yeah.
So there's a comic book writer, Doug Paskowitz, who does all kinds of blogs and stuff. And when that came out, he blogged about it, and actually I thought he had a really good point. And it's weird. It's a weird point to make. I think when it's made, but it kind of serves a purpose. He is the doughiest ultimate living weapon ever.
Yeah, he's not exactly cut.
Ant-Man, right? a
I
retired.
didn't even think of this.
That's the example that Doug uses.
Retired thief.
Yeah,
Is more jacked.
yeah. That should not be. That just should not be the case.
Dude,
All Danny Rand has done, even if we do a story where he cheated to beat the dragon,
Yeah.
all Danny Rand has done his entire life is train.
and eat donuts.
Yeah.
Well, I would do what I would do, and I'm sorry, Finn Jones. He's probably a very nice guy. I'm not trying to like attack him as
And
a person.
I actually think so. You get him the ripped six pack, and actually I think a part of it would just be a little bit different direction and a little bit of coaching to make the character a bit different, and he would probably be okay.
He probably would be okay, but I would go so far as to get the mask on so the stunt team can do the fighting for you.
Oh,
right?
sure.
And I would cast him older. He's the youngest of the four. I would have made him older, like maybe another 10 years on him, and to have that he's been gone for 15 years. Having him, his development has been stunted. So having like this weird naivete towards very common things like he still listens to his old Walkman, which is a great gag in the first season of Iron Fist, that he still likes the music he used to like
Sure.
15 years ago.
It's very Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, well, they're definitely trying to capitalize on what was working elsewhere. But there's so much to fix to Iron Fist that I think the focus should be on getting us to Defenders, right?
Sure.
And a lot of it would be with casting. A lot would be with how you achieve his fighting ability and capabilities. I like Colleen Wynn. I think she's a great character. My pitch for Iron Fist would be that she inherits the fist in the end, like that Danny Rand doesn't maintain the Iron Fist mantle, that he would even bestow it upon her in his death or in his just decision to not want it anymore, or to admit that he never deserved it in the first place. That's a huge opportunity to cast an Asian woman to be the Iron Fist. Would be very progressive of the MCU. And then when you get to the Defenders, you would have 2 women and 2 men.
So I guess I'll be that guy.
Go ahead, do it. Do it.
What?
No, you're not that guy. You're the studio. The studio would ask.
What reason on what base? Why should we deviate from the source material that much? Like when else have we deviated from the source material that much?
That much. Okay, fair enough. That is a.
If you have precedent, I might be able to see it, but
I would point to Guardians of the Galaxy. That's not the original team, and that team never even existed in the comics till after James Gunn had put that team together. He selected those 6, and I know I'm kind of like
Sure.
I'm not exactly hitting your point there, but there is precedent to say, stay true to the source material, but have some fun. Like James Gunn was able to go wild with Guardians of the Galaxy. He picked the team members he wanted, and he crafted one of the best parts of the MCU.
I think the reason for that is because the Marvel probably looked at it, said no one knows who Guardians is. This, and everyone knew at the time, like this is a total experiment, right?
Yeah.
Right. They expected it to not do well, theoretically, right, according to sources. And then it was knocked out of the park. And so like I know one of the things we've discussed in the past, the way they did their model, any one of these movies could have failed and it wouldn't have sunk the ship. It just so happens Guardians didn't fail, which is why space became as incorporated as it was.
Tony Stark's not an alcoholic. The most they delved into his
Sure.
alcoholism and his addiction was in Iron Man 2, where he was fighting off the infection of his. So that's a big deviation from one of Iron Man's most important story elements, his alcoholism, the demon in the bottle arc that they just kind of glazed over. Civil War unto itself, that's in name only. And we got a couple shots that match. So my pitch to the studio in terms of Iron Fist is getting a demographic that isn't being respected in Hollywood to begin with, and give an opportunity to say, hey, you can pass this mantle to anyone, anytime. This is the one place in the MCU where you could keep recasting the main character over and over again.
Would it be too pandering if it's not that Danny Rand dies and gives it up or anything, but he has him and his supporting cast, and because the dragon,
I think I got an answer for you. Go ahead.
Because the dragon is a living thing unto itself, to not I don't have the right words for it, but essentially to lend the dragon.
Okay.
So in the end, it always goes back to Danny, but he
okay, yeah, you're kind of playing into Shazam a little bit, which isn't a bad thing because Shazam actually does have quite some similarities movie to show. I'm going to give you this. He's the Iron Fist, right? I would have him kicking ass with 2 glowing hands constantly to the point where he gives up half of his ability to Colleen so she can fight side by side with him, and you could have a real cheeky line that says, well, I am the Iron Fist after all. It doesn't say there can't be more than one, right? Because if he had 2 glowing hands, he'd be the Iron Fists.
That's terrible.
That's a good line of dialogue that we can work on in the script. You like it. You're smiling.
all I know is I loved in Matt Fraction's run how much the previous Iron Fists, the previous spirits would advise Danny.
Oh, that's great.
And I would have loved to somehow see that.
More Iron Fists.
Yeah, if we had seen more seasons of it.
Well, here we go. The Defenders. We have set up this new universe. Now, there's 2 things we need to discuss. This episode's going to probably be a little bit longer, which is fine.
I'm sorry. Just so the thing is, so now we've set up the Iron Fist being this just very capable combatant. The 2 other things. So it's like, well, how do you stop him? Where's the challenge? Where's the stakes?
Right. Good question.
I think the way you make that show interesting is the Hand is about being sneaky, not about being forceful, not about being even overwhelming. So they try to overwhelm him. They make it look like they're trying to overwhelm him, but every time, because there's 1 or 2 episodes of the show we got, they actually do that where they
just
like
pile on him.
The episode that RZA directed.
Where he goes like basically the tournament
3
style
trials, and at the end he has to give up. He has to fail because the Hand tricks him. That's what the Hand should be doing the whole time. That's how you overcome the Iron Fist. The Iron Fist has yet to develop the cleverness. He can fight 100 dudes,
He's just got the smarts.
but he can't be in two places at once.
Well,
right?
yeah.
That's what you need to do to challenge that character with that enemy.
And if he's a lone wolf kind of style, that makes him really difficult to work with once we get to the defender situation, where he's like, "I'm the Iron Fist, I got this." Because then you can have Jessica be like, "Shut up! You say that one more time."
The other thing that I think is important is so now that we're getting to defenders, I think it's very important to make him. He's crowd control, because what they didn't they made him they did too they leaned too much into he could do it all.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't be able to do it. He just have him be crowd control. Daredevil's the clever one who knows where to put the right punch.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So when the tons of mooks come running down the hall, Danny's like, "I got this. Don't worry. You guys take care of the rest."
Yeah.
But between him and Luke, they're taking out the literal army that is trying to fight them. While Daredevil and Jessica are the brains of the operation.
I do think we need a final moment where the four of them are fighting
Oh,
shoulder to shoulder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I remember watching Defenders, and it was too much of the Danny Rand show. He was like, "This is my mission. You guys don't need to come, even though you're my friends." And they're like, "We're gonna come because we're your friends." And he's like, "Durr, I don't want you to get hurt." And they're like, "You can't stop us. Let's go." And okay, fine. And then they go. And then I remember that first boardroom. He runs in and he like punches the one person. He's like, "I did it." Whoop. No.
And then he gives up his Iron Fist. Here's my first thing with the Defenders. If we got these 4 series, I think the Defenders should be a movie, not a season of a show. I think that it should be, or it should be 3 parts or 2 parts. It needs to be very contained, very focused. We know who all these characters are now. Let's get to the damn point. And if the damn point is that Hydra and Serpent Society and the Hand have all been like moving pieces across the board, and then it turns out the Mandarin is the end-all be-all overseer of all this, that they then have to like take him out. And I don't want to kill the Mandarin because I don't want him to fully use his 10 rings. I want to save that because we can use that for something bigger and better later.
So I like these ideas.
Okay.
I think it probably should be a season.
Can it just be 7 episodes then? Because 13 is too many.
What it can be is it can be the amount of episodes it needs to be.
Okay.
Because honestly, that's something Netflix can do that they haven't. They've stuck to a specific amount, even though they don't have to. I don't know if that's they're thinking about packaging these to put elsewhere.
I did see that with the Netflix model, that it is financially in their interest to do 3 seasons of their 13 episodes. Like Santa Clarita Diet and a lot of their Netflix original show. Like 3 seasons is financially beneficial to them.
Okay.
Beyond that or less than, I don't quite understand what the math is there. But I think yes, it should be the number of episodes it needs to be. But we don't need any. If we're gonna get filler in here, I don't want
that. What this season is going to feel like, and I think it's appropriate that it feels like it. I think the Defenders. Now, obviously, this we're writing this in hindsight, so we have lots of amazing things available to us because of that. I think this episode or this season feels like Infinity War.
This season,
Infinity War was to Thanos as the Defenders is to Mandarin.
Yes,
maybe in the last episode or 2 he's defeated.
Right.
But we build this season, and the thing is, we don't necessarily. So the same way season 1 of Daredevil, at least half that season was dedicated to building Kingpin.
Yes,
we need to build the Mandarin now.
Oh, yes, I'm on board here.
And we need to show all of these different groups from the different shows we've been seeing come along and like show and so the seeds we've planted with those organizations, it needs to be where those seeds are now blooming, not you're just now justifying this with this new character.
No, long term. This is all set up from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, I like that.
And maybe there were hints of the Mandarin. You know what? I might actually, and I'm pretty sure she was a character from she is a character in her own right, so making her this might not work. But actually, what if the Mandarin's multiple people? I love the idea that we've seen the Mandarin the whole time.
Mhm.
In Daredevil, it was Madame Gao.
Oh, okay. All right. That the Mandarin is a title that's passed as opposed to bringing Ben Kingsley back.
No. I'm thinking the Mandarin has many faces.
Oh, all right. Ooh, because yeah, I could see, especially if it's planned from the very beginning, from Daredevil season 1.
Yeah.
The seeds were planted like the Infinity Stones, that they knew from the very beginning that the big reveal of the Mandarin in Defenders was not just going to be that he's the mastermind behind all this, but that he has been many faces across the MCU, specifically the Netflix. But to see that he's played some mysterious element in the movies that we don't even have to necessarily make big references to in the reveal, but in his revealing of faces, to have a moment of like, hey, wasn't that the face of the UN guy from Civil War?
Sure.
That was the curator from that Killmonger was talking to in Black Panther, like something like that.
Yeah.
Like I like this idea that he is a man of many faces.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to save the actual 10 rings for future installments here.
Sure.
I don't want him to have the power rings.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be right, because this whole Defenders is leading up, and it's why there's a hole. It's why there's all this stuff. It's all leading towards summoning Fin Fang Foom.
The dragon. So I get a dragon?
You get a dragon.
Yes.
At least one.
And
oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And that way Danny Rand can be crowd control and also hit a significant monster.
Yeah.
Right? He can punch a dragon.
and
I've done this before.
boom.
Pop.
So Fing Fang Foom.
Yeah.
Okay. He's Godzilla, is that right?
Yeah,
Like-
so he's a dragon,
Okay.
but he's pretty much Marvel's analog. Yeah, that's the word. Analog for Godzilla.
Okay.
Um,
I don't think he can be that big and fight the Defenders without
so I have a
Shield
couple
showing
ideas.
up or Iron Man showing up.
Sure. Well, okay.
Oh, they're fighting him underground.
Well, it might start underground.
Mhm.
Maybe that's actually the key, is that he is locked in the underworld. That's why the dragon was dead, and that's where the Mandarin is friggin' summoning him from. So they're actually going to the underworld.
If the fight could start underground in Hell's Kitchen,
Yeah,
but then come out in Harlem, or vice versa, start in
well, it
Harlem
could
and
be a
come
bunch.
out.
So I got a couple ideas on how to resolve that.
Okay.
And it might be a little too Deus Ex Machina, but to me, the one of the bigger concerns is, how do you fight something like that when you're 4 street level dudes,
Like make him smaller, first of all. I'm not talking shrinking him too much, but he can't.
like 3 stories?
Yeah.
That still feels a little small to me.
He just can't
the
be
point is,
Godzilla
he's getting bigger.
Oh, okay. There we go. I like that.
Right, so he's growing. So and so maybe, because I didn't want it to just be a big fight where, oh, Fin Fang Foom he's the size of a skyscraper,
Mhm.
and then the
Punch.
dragon comes out of Danny Rand, and so now we see the spirit dragon fighting.
Nah.
Like, actually, a part of me actually thinks that would be pretty cool. But on a TV show, especially one that's trying to be more grounded,
We started on the streets. We need to end on the streets.
Okay, I want to pitch the idea anyway.
Do it.
So Godzilla comes out, and our heroes punch-size him,
Mhm.
and they defeat him. But somehow, so the reason that this huge epic thing isn't remembered, they do something. I don't know what the 10 Rings powers are,
Mhm.
but they somehow, in the fight, maybe that's what it is. While Iron Fist is fighting Fin Fang Foom,
Mhm.
Daredevil figures out what he needs to do. The Mandarin corners the Mandarin and punches the right ring or something,
Yeah.
and which undoes it.
So that the dragon just.
Not just that, but like the destruction is undone. People never saw it happen.
A little bit of time stone action here.
A little.
Like Doctor Strange kind of ending here.
Time doesn't necessarily rewind, but
Uh,
repercussions rewind.
It's a Men in Black flashy thing.
Yeah, something like that. So essentially, all of the plans are undone. It's a little Deus Ex Machina,
Yeah.
a little to it, but it's a place to start, right? I think that's a first draft, and
Okay.
now we're going to have several drafts.
Let's play with this a little bit. I think Harlem and Hell's Kitchen, Harlem in particular, what Luke Cage did is they did a lot of what, and rightly so because of the content of the show, is that they are disrespected and forgotten wing of New York City. Who gives a shit about Harlem? Harlem is Harlem, so Harlem has to build itself up. Hell's Kitchen exists as the shithole of the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel Universe as well. They got a ton of blowback from the incident, so they're also forgotten. So there are these two. Hell's Kitchen was trying to rebuild itself back up. You know, it was Fisk, but that's what he was trying to do. Was
I can't believe we reframed I forgot the it wasn't the incident. That's from the Arrowverse.
Oh.
But that's essentially what the entire plot was. Fisk was buying up property to give to Sigourney Weaver so that they could destroy all of that land Fisk wanted to rebuild it up to gentrify it.
But Madame Gao wanted
to like
crush it.
Yeah. And that's essentially what they're doing. They're buying it up because they know Fin Fang Foom's going to come through here.
Well, if it's so, then it becomes those Luke Cage and Daredevil were all about protect their neighborhood. So if we start this fight far below in that deep dark hole, and if that's in Hell's Kitchen and then it comes out in Harlem, or like I said, vice versa, then these characters are protecting the streets that we started on with them.
Sure.
And I do like the idea of shrinking Fin Fang Foom down, but instead of like flashy thing getting rid of people's acknowledgement of him, just don't have it have it at night, have it be in a more or less maybe the secluded location that Fisk was able to corner off.
Cloverfield it?
A little bit. So then it becomes an urban legend of this area of the MCU where it's like...
And why not? Why not
Yeah.
have S.H.I.E.L.D. show up at the end to clean it up?
Yeah.
Damage control.
Exactly. And if you want some sort of like acknowledgement from someone like a Tony Stark or someone like a William Hurt from you're shaking your hands in excitement. You could have them say something like, if a dragon came out of New York City, I think we would have noticed. Like having it very like, don't be ridiculous. Like even they are like, okay, yeah, that happened. Not acknowledging the lower level of the MCU. What's your hand waving
I actually think
excitement?
that this is the place where Phil Coulson can show up.
Yes.
The cleanup of a dragon. Phil Coulson would show up for that, and I don't think it would be too out of place.
This is a big enough deal that Coulson himself is going to show up.
I would love to see that.
Thank you. I love it. Yes, please.
Yeah.
But here's another thing I'll say though is like get that dragon down to if Danny's going against the dragon and Luke and Jessica are tossing punches too, and Daredevil's going up against the Mandarin.
So the dragon's growing.
Yeah.
The Mandarin is channeling its powers into manifesting Fin Fang Foom.
Yeah.
And it's growing. And the three of them are Jessica, Luke, and Iron Fist are fighting Fin Fang Foom, and it's getting bigger, fighting this growing lizard. That sucks. And Daredevil is fighting the Mandarin. His fight, the Mandarin more and more powerful. Don't know what the turn would be. Something turns in the fight. So now Daredevil's figured out whatever he has to do when he hits the Mandarin.
It hurts the dragon.
It not just hurts it, it shrinks it back down. So that way we're not getting to it. He's continuing to try to put his energy.
Yes.
Maybe that's just what it is Daredevil's now distracting him so much that Mandarin can no longer channel the energy into it, and so that's slowing the growth.
Love it. Can I give one more little turn in here?
Yes, you can.
So that our heroes can all fight together?
Yes.
The Mandarin could finally just relent and give up and just suck all the energy from the dragon into himself, so now all four characters have to fight the Mandarin. I'm not saying he's as powerful as Fin Fang Foom was, but if he just finally, like, Daredevil beats him to a point where he's like, and they get the last thing on the dragon's energy, flies back in the Mandarin, and now he's like, I'm pissed now.
Yeah.
And now all four of them have to, and so Daredevil's like, oh man, you're way more powerful than you were. And then here come Luke, Jessica, and Danny to fight alongside Matt, and like, hey, we got your back. And now the four of them go after him, and
Sure.
you get that boom, 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 boom. They're all coming at him
And the
from different
Mandarin-
angles.
What kind of powers can we give the Mandarin? Mandarin could be like he could split himself into a bunch of Mandarins that they then have to pop.
He could pull his Mandarin M off his chest and throw it like cellophane at Luke.
He could spin around the world real fast.
No.
No?
But but to get
Cellophane.
to get that final moment of the four of them, because
I've trapped you all on an album cover.
I love this idea. I love this idea of the three over here fighting the dragon and Matt fighting the Mandarin, because I think in this area of the Marvel Knights, Matt is your Iron Man. Matt is your essentially your main character of this team.
I agree.
100%. And that's the fight I want to see. Now, how do I segue out of this into the next thing? That was it.
Oh, that was your. Oh, I see.
This is better. This is better.
Now, I think with the second half, I think we had too much fun crafting the defenders and stuff. I don't think we did much. There at the end, you mentioned how it would work into the movies and stuff, but we didn't put as much connection in.
Well, that's what I want to actually delve into now, because I don't think we need to continue to get into the nitty gritty details of how these series would lead into the Defenders. I think we've laid enough foundation that we're someone to come to us and say, hey, I got a time machine that we can go redo this. You want to come with? Like, yes, we got all the ideas right here. I want to talk MCU now. How do we get these characters into the MCU? I've already explained how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. could have been in frickin' Age of Ultron and in Spider-Man Homecoming.
So we do that. Done.
Okay. I've already said that Sam Rockwell's hammer should have been the secondary bad guy in...
So you're just talking about more connectivity across all of it, or between the movies and the shows?
Specifically, Daredevil, Luke, Jessica, and Iron Fist. How do we get them in the films now?
Okay.
How do we get the references in? Because, perfect example, Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Is this everyone?
No.
What, did you want more?
That's Endgame.
Endgame, sorry. What, did you want more? Open up some portals and have those characters walk out.
Well, yeah, what I think should have happened there. So, yes, that would have been a great place to put them. Frankly, there should have been more people. Have put people in costumes we've never seen.
Give me Wolverine walks out. What?
I don't know if I want to go that far.
No X-Men. No X-Men.
No one you'd recognize from like that. But like, give me, and now I can't think of anyone.
Like Nomad or
Hercules.
something. Oh yeah.
Give me. Nomad.
Yeah.
What a weird reference to pull.
Get the
honestly, Ghost Rider.
Yes.
Right? Dude with a flaming head? What's
that guy?
I don't know. It's a hero guy who wants to fight to have the universe not be destroyed.
Don't ask questions. They brought Howard the Duck in. Why couldn't they bring in, everyone else?
Yeah. Was Howard there?
Howard the Duck is there.
I missed that.
Well, you have to go online to see the screen grab.
Well, even more so because he was there. Just bring him.
Give me Ghost Rider.
Bring them all.
Get Sky to come in.
Yes.
Here. Yeah.
I really want to think of some more obscure Sleepwalker. Bring Sleepwalker in.
Having that
Darkhawk. I'm just naming my friend's favorite. The Night Warriors, or not New Warriors.
Speedball.
Right. No, what was his name? Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher. Nova.
Yes.
Get John C. Reilly in a Nova helmet.
That's got to be Guardians 3, right? Because they laid all the groundwork for the Nova Corps, and then they've done nothing with Nova.
Thanos destroyed the planet to get the first gem.
But
hey, they have to rebuild. But
was that really loud? I apologize if that was.
No,
really
it was fine.
Okay.
I adjusted real fast. No, you're fine. But Daredevil in particular. I think the connector here could be Fisk, because Fisk could finally just be fed up with Matt and just move to Manhattan and deal with Spider-Man. And then you can have some sort of, because Spider-Man, as we're perceiving it now, so as of this recording, Far From Home has not come out yet. It would appear that that Peter might be looking for a new mentor of sorts, right? So why not look to the guy who's in a pseudo Iron Man, Doctor Strange costume, another adult figure who might be a potential mentor for him. So Daredevil could potentially be a mentor in another capacity for him. I don't know if I want to see Daredevil be a full-on secondary character in a Spider-Man movie, but I don't know. Having some sort of relationship with those two.
I kind of do.
Like,
I kind of want to see him be. So, how well do you know The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Good. Yeah.
Bad. In my, I love that
Ugly.
movie. Go do get them all out there. I love that movie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Tuco is the main character of that movie, and Clint Eastwood's character Blondie is kind of the sidekick.
Okay.
Because he's kind of
fair
following
enough.
along Tuco's bumbling through the
His bumbling quest.
yeah. And I think that's how I would making up a whole new movie now. That's how I would do a Spider-Man Daredevil movie. Spider-Man stumbles on this thing, and he's there's this plot, and he's trying to unravel it, and Daredevil keeps showing up.
I would love to see.
What's up?
Hey, red guy.
Yeah, I don't
Hey,
even know.
Horns.
I don't even.
What's your name?
I don't even know what Peter Parker called Daredevil.
Hey, Horns. What's going on? Can I help? Like, I have
Something
power.
like that. And he's like,
Daredevil's
"Get
just
out
kicking
here,
the crap
kid."
out of people,
and then he disappears. And he's like, where'd that guy go?
He's like a red ninja. There's something to be had there, because I think Peter and Doctor Strange is a great relationship in the comics. I like Spider-Man and Daredevil relationships as well, because they have so many similarities and so many differences at the same time. They're both these, they come from the lower end of New York, and they're on the street. They're just trying to protect their neighborhoods. One's got fantastical spider powers, and one is a blind man who can see, right? A ninja. I think there's, and again, to draw from the Ultimate Universe, which MCU has drawn a ton from, as we've already said, there's a great mini run of a Daredevil Spider-Man crossover that they could play with. That this is like, dude, who are you? You're dark. Like,
yeah,
this sometimes you got to be dark.
Yeah,
he's the closest thing they got to Batman. Don't say Moon Knight and don't say Black Panther. They're not like Batman.
Well,
oh, we're gonna fight on this?
Yeah, we are.
No.
Yep.
This is an off-mic conversation. I hate that people think Moon Knight is the Batman equivalent in the MCU. He's not. He's got voices in his head. Whatever. Why am I talking about this? Daredevil.
Moon Knight's cool, and we should have a Moon Knight.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that, because Matt Fraction did a really good run on Moon Knight. So I think that Daredevil to Spider-Man and Fisk, that's an access point there.
Sure.
I think Jessica...
I think we're not doing a good job of plugging in what already exists.
Yeah.
We're kind of inventing.
Yeah, we are.
We're inventing whole new stories.
So how can we get them into what exists? I did say the Endgame reference, I think, in Infinity War as well, just getting a glimpse of the snapping across Queens, like to watch Foggy disappear, like something like that. The goal here would be that the Netflix shows would be so well regarded that maybe someone in the audience might not recognize the characters as they're disappearing.
Sure.
But there'd be enough of a support of like, oh, it was cool when the snap happened to see Hogarth disappear.
Why show us random extras disappearing when you can show us people?
So
people we know.
Yeah.
People we might know.
How do we get them into existing properties? That's a little tougher there. Luke being or Jessica or Luke being a bodyguard to Tony Stark, or Danny Rand meeting Doctor Strange,
the gun dealer from the Defenders world, from Marvel Knights, is one of the guys at in Homecoming. He's one of the guys getting sold weapon. He's buying weapons from someone to sell. Someone else.
There you go. That's an easier connection than trying to force in the directly into seeing Claire Temple at the hospital that Doctor Strange works at.
There you go.
Something like that to have Luke's photo be on in the football display of some regard. And no, I guess Peter's school is a private school, so that won't work.
Also, well, yeah, right. It would relocate Luke to a different place.
Maybe the Harlem team went up against. No, because again, it's a private nerd school. They didn't have sports. Never mind. Unfortunately, I don't think there are easy access points for these characters without making up something whole hog.
Well, S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, did it really well. I mean, they obviously tried to get movie guest appearances when they could, but S.H.I.E.L.D. did a really good job of they had episodes. Actually, I feel like all their arcs, their seasonal arcs or half season arcs, were usually thematically tied into whatever next movie was going to be coming out.
Right, like the space season was more
about
Infinity War, right? Or no,
no
Ragnarok.
Space was Guardians of the Galaxy and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But Ghost Rider was before Doctor Strange, but it was in tandem. Like that whole seasonal arc, the whole introducing magic was in tandem with Doctor Strange coming out.
Yeah. So I guess with instead, like, there's no real way to like get these characters in to be delivering lines or whatnot. I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has very easy ways that they totally missed.
Yeah.
But as far as getting Daredevil, Luke, Jessica, and Danny
Civil
in
War,
the films,
Civil War, I'm sure there's somewhere you could have fit in
Well-
like a quick cameo, not necessarily the airport, but like
oh no, there was a backup plan. There was a plan B if they couldn't seal the deal with Sony.
oh yeah,
At least rumor has it, this is all could just be hearsay, that the backup plan instead of getting Spider-Man was to get Daredevil, and that would be a very different scenario because Spider-Man adds so much, no pun intended, color to that sequence.
I don't think Daredevil would have joined that side.
I
know he's a lawyer,
yeah,
but
He-
I don't think he would have joined that side.
Tony would have convinced him, but maybe not. I don't know. That's rumor, of course. But
Sure.
yeah, I don't think with what we got there's a way to plug in. I'm curious to see if anyone listening is like, oh, so and so could have been perfectly placed right here.
Mhm.
I think more of what we've done creating the groundwork of the Marvel Knights Netflix wing could be utilized in Phase 4, where it's like what we have now in terms of the MCU. I don't really see spots where you could plug any of these characters in organically.
So you're talking about the movies that are coming up.
Yeah, Phase 4
as of the recording of this
post
podcast, yeah.
Endgame, post Endgame.
Post Endgame, but that also depends on our redoing of Marvel Knights continuing and not being stopped the way it has been.
Well, yes, because it would be so good that Disney would
It
love
would.
our
It really
ideas
would. It
and
really
just say,
would.
you know what, Netflix?
I really want to watch our Iron Fist. So much.
No, either
That
one.
sounds bad. That's a bad sentence right there. That sounds like it means something else.
Well, I don't want to belabor the point here, but is there any other final thoughts you might have before we go off mic and continue to talk about this for another hour, as we are wont to do?
Got that change in. Got all them changes in. I sure like comic books.
There's some the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been such a success, and I love Endgame. I love how they concluded things. I loved how they get. Certainly, I could sit here and start getting pedantic about this and this, and we had dinner where that was pretty much what we did.
Yeah.
But little disappointments have occurred with how unwilling they are to connect all these properties, because they are loosely connected by some threads. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. more so. The Netflix stuff is very throwaway. I would love to have seen them embrace the movies more into
Sure.
Netflix, and therefore allowing the Netflix stuff to come into the movies.
Honestly, I think what's kind of happening with the TV shows is indicative of why they were reluctant to do so. If you had incorporated them into the movies more, and then the shows get canceled as they have been, what happens?
Yeah.
Do you just drop these references? Do you continue to keep these actors as the characters?
It is as
on
simple
contract?
as Stephen Strange getting a name drop in Winter Soldier. Like, it's something as simple
Okay.
as that. You know, Tony Stark talking to Pepper and her having say, don't forget you have a meeting with Rand Industries at 3:00 today. And the newspaper had wanted to know if you want a quote about Fisk. No, I don't care about that. Simple as that. Like little throwaway lines like that.
Sure.
Would have been lovely. I would have loved that. But I am curious to see hear what the listeners might have to say about what we've concocted here. This was a little bit of a different experiment as opposed to some of our past episodes where we were specifically looking at like a singular film.
Yeah.
This is much more of like broad strokes, retconning, fixing and tweaking of multiple properties that were all one big property. But I do think that you got it great with like linking in Hydra and the Mandarin and
so
the Hand.
fun.
If they had thought about that from the get-go way more thoroughly, there would have been an amazing thing to happen there. I think that's
Well, it's a beautiful parallel to what they did in the movies as well. Like the way S.H.I.E.L.D. keeps doing thematic parallels to the movies.
yeah.
You do Marvel Knights, you have this parallel. The movies are building up to Thanos. These TV shows are building up to the Mandarin, and you can Yep.
It's the MCU literally created a formula that they can't even replicate. That's what it is. Okay, so let's do the social stuff real quick. You can find us at studiodemandsit.com. Please spread the word, like, share, subscribe. That's awesome for us. You can actually now go to studiodemandsit.com where you can send us a demand. You can actually come up with your demand as well as your fake studio title. We'd love to get more of those.
It's important to let us know what your studio name is.
So we know who gets all the credit for the demands that were made. You can also find us on Twitter at Studio Demands It. If you want to make a request there as well, you can toss it there. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. A huge shout out to 6.5 Media for giving us this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this is so much fun. We told one of our listeners today, we'd be doing this whether people are listening or not.
Yes, we would.
So it's nice to know we have an audience out there. So thank you all for listening to us and letting us play with our imagination like this. This is
thank
fun.
you very much.
Jim, where can people find you?
On Twitter at TubokWaxon.
Yes. You never tweet, but if people
do.
people tweet it at you,
I probably wouldn't see them because I don't log on enough. Someday I'll figure it out. I'm finally getting the hang of Discord. That's a thing. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Oh, maybe I'll show it to you.
Well,
But otherwise, I guess I can be found on Facebook.
Yeah.
JamesBruzelic.com.
That's you.
I'm a little bit reclusive, but maybe I'll be friendly.
Hey,
Who knows?
if people ask you put the right quarter in you and ask you the right question, you're going to go to town.
It's true.
You can find me at TC's Big Head on Twitter and Instagram as well. So there it goes. That's it. That's an episode.
I need to get an Instagram. I hear those things I don't take pictures.
Is
Is there anything you can put on Instagram that aren't pictures?
You can put blocks of text as a photo, I guess.
So live journal?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be back again with another challenge to improve the world of cinema or streaming services as well.
We're expanding our media. At the beginning, I thought you were gonna have us write some novels. I was not.
Studio demands a book.
I don't know why I thought that. But yes.
Now you know we can do a Golden Girls recast. I am TC.
I'm Jim.
And that's it. That's the end of the episode.